this kick can decide it all. The nation holds its breath. Yes,
Hi and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about a 25-year-old midfielder slash winger from Swords in Dublin called Zachary Elbouzedi. So Zach, he started his career with underage teams, playing underage level at Shelbourne, who are a big team in Ireland. Then he moved to his local side, River Valley Rangers, and finally to Malahide United before he joined the then Premier League team West Brom Albion in 2014 as a 16-year-old. So big move at a young age. Again, back then it was the norm. After 3 years there in the summer of 2017 as a 19-year-old, he moved to Scottish team Inverness, Caledonian, Thistle on his first pro contract. So didn't work out really at West Brom into the first team. There was no, he said himself, there was no clear route from there through to the first team. So again, would have been hard for a youngster as well to break into a Premier Division team. So he joined anyway Inverness. That was his first contract, as I said, as a pro, 2 years. Inverness were in the Scottish Championship, so the second division in Scotland at the time. Very unfortunately, the day after he signed, he got injured and he was out for about 5 months, so he was unavailable for selection. On the 30th of December, he signed for Elgin City in Scotland on a 28-day emergency short-term loan deal. Elgin City, they were in the Scottish League 2, so the 4th division in Scotland. Still good for the 19-year-olds to get first-team football anywhere. And he's coming back from an injury that had him out for 5 months at that age. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. That loan move helped him get match fit and coming back from the injury. In all, he turned out just 3 times for Elgin City. He then went on to make his long-awaited debut for Inverness in the Championship on the 13th of March 2018, and he turned out a total of 4 times for Inverness, but he left pretty much a year after signing for them. So in August, just slightly over the August 2018, 31st of August 2018, having his contract terminated by mutual consent as he wasn't playing and felt it wasn't going to happen for him there. So him and the club, luckily the club let him go, because sometimes they can just stick you there and keep you there, so that was good anyway. He got out of it. Very unfortunate, of course, with the injury. Like, if he hadn't got injured the very next day after signing for him, it could have been a completely different story. But that's life, and that if that had worked out, maybe he wouldn't be where he is now. But anyway, he wanted to go again at 19. A lot of 19-year-olds might stick it out and just be happy to be somewhere and be thinking, but he was eager to get first team football. So again, a big testament to his character that at 19, he's not happy to just be where he is. He wants to be pushing on for first team football. Shows a good bit of maturity, you'd have to say, that you're not going to be a footballer for long. Really, it's not a long career, so you got to get cracking, get first team football. And again, a lot of 19-year-olds might just fade away. So yeah, he was pushing for first team football. A week later, on the 17th of November 2018, the now 20-year-old moved back to Ireland, signing for Waterford City, who at the time were in the Irish Premier Division. It turned out to be a great move for him. At Waterford, he finally got week in, week out run in the first team. first team football, and he played, depending where you read it, 27 to 29 times, scoring 6 goals. So, very decent level, very good level. Obviously, it's top level in Ireland, and as a 20-year-old to be playing week in, week out, I don't understand really why a lot more players that perhaps are over the water in England or Scotland, or it's happening more often now, but even abroad, why they don't come back to Ireland. It is a good league, and to get that week in, week out football, obviously it's going to benefit Irish football as well, and the clubs, if it works out for the player and the club, they're getting a player that they don't have to, worry about, contracts and, losing them for no fee or whatever. They just get them in for a loan for a year, and get the best out of them, and get some benefit. The club gets some benefit. So yeah, I don't understand why more people don't do it. But anyway, Zach did it, and it was the turning point really in his career. Although he did have some hard times after that, but after just over a year with Waterford, the 21-year-old moved back to England, signing for Lincoln City in League One, so that's the third division in England, on the 1st of January 2020. Though it was announced as a long-term deal, he only played 7 times for Lincoln City's first team. Obviously, COVID played a role in this amount of appearances, because football ceased for them. Well, for everybody around the world, it was affected the whole world, didn't it? But but he did go on loan to Bolton Wanderers at 22 on the 16th of January 2021 from Lincoln City, and he had a fairly good run with them up until the end of the 2021 season, making 14 appearances for the League 2 side, which is the 4th division. Bolton, of course, big team, and not so long before that they were top flight teams, so facilities now would have been good, and the infrastructure, so that's good from the experience that as well. He would have had experiences that as at West Brom, but as a first teamer now, he was not necessarily starting all the games or anything, but still 14 appearances, 21, big side, albeit in the 4th division. And he helped them go from 19th to getting promoted. They were 19th, I think, in around February time. And by the end of the season, they made it into the playoffs and got promoted. So another good bow in his, good notch on his CV, and good experience for him, that would stand to him, I think listening to interviews back from him, maybe he was a bit hard on himself about that he felt he wasn't playing enough. But again, 14 appearances from January to May, helping a team from 19, he definitely played his part, and who knows, if he hadn't been there, maybe they wouldn't have got promoted. So yeah, I would say he definitely was a big part of the promotion, as were other players in the team, of course. But he then finished up with Lincoln, and moved to Swedish top flight football with AIK, where he is today. Don't know what the fee was. It was an undisclosed fee, but going from the 3rd division in England, from Lincoln City, and the 4th division, I suppose you could say, as well, with Bolton Wanderers more appropriately, to going to the top flight in Swedish football. Swedish football has some big teams, and AIK are one of them. They're what's known as one of the big 3. Anyway, he signed for them on the 15th of July 2021 as a 23-year-old now, on a 3.5-year deal until the 31st of December 2024. So they obviously had a lot of faith in him, They weren't just taking a punt on him. We'll get to the reasons. Well, the reason why is it was a move that was a few years in the making, when he was playing in an under-21s match for Ireland against Sweden. who was assistant manager at the time, then became the manager at AIK, and he kept tabs on Zach, who he thought had played well that night. Looked at some video then, some matches he'd played. They reviewed it in AIK and thought, yeah, this guy is the real deal. So, you know, you'd think going from the 3rd division or 4th division even in England, you're not going to be going to the top division and a top side in Sweden. But that's the reason why. And, you know, it's not luck, but you need these, you know, bits of the rub of the green. Like he's up until this point, he's had a hard career, you know. Maybe being a bit hard on himself as well, but you know, this was the break, and you know, he obviously was a quality player. He wouldn't be going through all the Irish levels that he went to if he wasn't a good player, and the people he was rubbing elbows with, shoulders with, or whatever the sign is. But so anyway, he's at AIK to date. He's made 46 appearances, scoring 2 goals in the past 2 years. It's great to see that the best run of games and the best period in his career to date is also at the highest level he has played so far, and a very high level again as it is. At present, AIK, they're not doing great. They're 14 games into the season in the Swedish league. It goes on a yearly basis, so it's not the same as England. But yeah, they get all their fixtures in like the Irish league, in I suppose, I don't know now. It's probably the same reason as the Irish league changed, to give them a better chance in Europe. But you know, anyway, I don't know why they have their league, if it was always like that or not. But anyway, they're 14 games into the season at present, so we're in July now, and they're actually in 14th place, which is 3rd from bottom. So yeah, there's a lot of games to go yet, but anyway, it's not a great position to be in, especially for a big team. Another one of the big teams is below them in technically in the bottom 2, which is the relegated teams. AIK are in what's known as the relegation. Anyway, it doesn't matter yet, because it only matters if you're there at the end of the season, which a lot of games to go, so you'd imagine they won't be. But anyway, Zach, he's playing week in, week out, albeit sometimes starting, sometimes from the bench. At present, from the bench, but he's been a regular starter during his time at AIK too, and he's playing pretty much every week, regardless of whether he's starting or from the bench. Even when he's on the bench, he's always coming on, so they do think highly of him there. He's a bit of a star over there as well. People seeing him out, asking for his autograph. He scored some great goals for them too. Yeah, so he is a big player for them, and they have some big players in their squad. AIK, as I said, are one of the 3 big teams in Swedish football. Everyone is going to know Malmo and Gothenburg as well. Gothenburg are actually, as I said, in the bottom 2 at present. Since Zach's been there, the first season he joined mid-season, they just missed out on the league title by goal difference. That was his first season. Last season, his second season with them, they finished in 5th, just outside the Europa spots, so they're not in Europe at the moment. As I said, they're a good team. It's a great league, and the level and a great level to be at for him. Personally, at only 25, it's great. I'm sure his plan is to continue to be involved in the first team and get back to being a regular first team starter. Help them steer away from the bottom of the table in the coming months. AIK, of course, not involved in European football this season, but they do have circa 12 to 13 current and former internationals in their squad. So he's definitely rubbing shoulders with top season pros, and his manager is, of course, the legendary Henningberg, who Blackburn, when more or less the top of their game. Man United and Norwegian International. That wasn't the guy that was the assistant manager. That was a different guy. Hemmenberg has since replaced him. All this will only stand to him personally and help him further increase his skill set, experience and career. Again, with all the people he's playing with, the backroom staff, the other people he's playing against in the league. Internationally, he has represented Ireland, not at senior level yet, but he's represented Ireland extensively at every other age group. Under 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, 19s, 21s. His mum is Irish, his dad is from Libya. So he does have an option to play for Libya international football. They have been in contact, again to his credit, and it mustn't have been easy to turn down international football, but his dream is to play for Ireland. He's born and bred in Ireland. So yeah, somebody, he's really rubbed shoulders with the cream of the crop as well at the moment in Irish football, so you can see why he's not giving up on the dream of playing for Ireland. Again, he's at a high level, so he's not that far off. It wouldn't be, if he was in a squad or came on, you wouldn't be saying, what's that guy doing there? He is knocking around that level, and as I said, he has played with lots of the current Irish senior team. But again, fair play to him turning down Libya. There's obviously a connection, strong connection if his dad's from there, It's maybe a rare exception that, again, I'm not an expert on Libyan football, but they possibly aren't as good as Ireland. So usually if there's another country involved, there's a good chance somebody might go if it's a split, connection. Again, I know he's born and bred in Ireland, but it's not like it's a great grandfather or something. It's his dad is Libyan, but it's again, I'm presuming, not that I know about Libyan football, but I presume Ireland is a better level as well. But I wouldn't say that's come into it. He just feels he's more Irish, and that's his dream. So fair play to him for sticking it out and holding out for Ireland. A bit unfortunate for Libya, but because he'd be an absolute top star for them, a nailed on starter for them. And again, I don't know if they qualify for continental tournaments over there, but so yeah, it's always something. Again, he's ruled it out, but perhaps I'm sure it would work out for him at Ireland, and I'm sure he will get his chance to represent Ireland. But let's say for some unknown reason he doesn't ever get that nod, and again, no disrespect to Libya, maybe in his 30s he could go, right, I'll play for you now. You can't force someone to play for you, but if he ever did play for Libya, they're going to get a great player, because he's a quality player, as I said, he isn't far away from getting a nod for the senior Irish side. When he was playing under 21s, Stephen Kenny was his manager. I'm not sure how much contact has been there since. Stephen Kenny's got a lot more things on. In fairness to Stephen Kenny, he does seem like someone that is very personal with players, and very all the players that have played under him in the senior side, and particularly in the under 21 side, he's brought a lot of them through. But also, they all talk very highly of him and the connection with him, and that they all seem to have got on with him. So, it's not like he's unknown to Stephen Kenny. Stephen Kenny knows very well who he is, and he's done very well for the under 21s. So, yeah. Perhaps AIK is... It's a top team, but perhaps they're not like running away with the Swedish league, and now they're not doing great. They're not in Europe. He's in and out of the starting first 11. Now he is playing regularly. Perhaps he really just needs to. It's really just splitting hairs here, but because he's so close to the senior side in the Irish setup, you'd imagine. At the level he's at, it's just maybe fractionally off. He needs to be nailing in that starter in the top 11 week in, week out, and it's not really in his hands, but AIK possibly need to be doing slightly better, like challenging for the title, to be, really pushing. And again, if he was at a club like that in England, he'd be in the squad. It's just because Sweden isn't a league that's watched by the Irish public. No one really knows much about it. It's just those slight little things. So again, perhaps, that's why he's not getting picked at the moment. But he is at a very high level. As said, he's played with. Also, he's had injuries for the first few years of his career, on and off. So that's all in the background. Since he's gone to Waterford, he's been doing well injury wise. But he has played with a lot of senior internationals in Sweden at AIK against them in Sweden. Also, as I said, a lot of the under-21s have gone on to become senior internationals. Tripartite Adamida will be, right up there. Bazunu, Darrell O'Shea was at him, with him at West Brom, just to name a few. Like, he's definitely Nathan Collins. They all know who he is. He knows who, so he knows he's at that level. But for whatever reason, he hasn't broken into the senior side yet. What the future holds, staying at AIK until the end of his reported contract in December 24 would be the most likely scenario. It would leave him in a very good position, as again, he could continue his success as a first teamer in Sweden's top division. Then he could stay on at AIK, of course, on an improved deal. But from his point of view, again, he's very happy there, and he's treated very well. I'm sure he's getting paid very well. And he's a star there. But, AIK for him probably would need to be doing a bit better as well to mirror his vision and his motivation and his forward trajectory, So, yeah, if he did move, he could go to, there'd be lots of suitors, like there was when he was going to AIK. There was other people in for him, but you couldn't really turn down AIK, a top team in Europe. In the Swedish league is a good league, good standard. There would be potential suitors, again, because he's playing in the Swedish league. There'd be people going over to look at him or his teammates or opponents, players that he's playing in, and they're going to see him and go, he's a great player. Jimmy, let's get him. He's up for a contract in a year and a half or whatever, or January, they might come in. There's definitely going to be eyes on him. And yeah, who knows where he could go then, Hopefully, the injury side of things, you can never say never with injuries, but he's had a lot of injuries in the past, and that's going to stand to him. It's never good to get injured or have injuries, but the fact it's happening in his early parts of his career must have been heartbreaking, and must feel like the end. You know, you must feel like everything's going against you, but he has that experience now, so he knows what works for him, what doesn't work from training wise, you know, how to go about things, how to, you know, stay one step ahead of the things that, you know, perhaps might have led to him getting injured in the past, what it means when you get injured, because unfortunately everyone gets injured in sport, and that's just part of, I mean, you get injured walking down the street, crossing the roads. It's not like you're never going to not get injured. So, but he has that in his head now, what to do and what not to do. And if, hopefully he never gets injured again during his career, but if he did, what to do and where to go, and, you know, the mental side of it as well. So he has all that experience behind him, and it happened early on in his career when, you know, he wasn't playing week in, week out football. So again, it's better to have happened then, and now he knows all about it, so hopefully it won't happen, and if it did, he knows what routes to take to get around it. But yeah, he's only 25. He's a wealth of knowledge and experience playing at the highest level. Like, he's been at a Premiership team, hasn't played in the Championship, but he's been at Inverness in Scotland, so played in League 1, League 2, he's played in the top division in Sweden. He's week in, week out playing with other internationals, for and against, with and against. He's rubbed shoulders with, you know, lots, well, you'd say the majority of the Irish first team now. He knows he's there. He just needs to stand out a bit, to get noticed, really. The manager of Ireland knows him. Maybe hasn't been in touch because he's got a lot of stuff going on for himself, you know, on his own job. You got to feel a bit sorry for Stephen Kenny, like, you know, everyone's for him and then everyone's against him. It's the way life is now, isn't it? Like, but, you know, he should be just left alone. Like, he has, whether you think he's doing a good job or not, like, you just leave him in the job now till the end of his contract, and then assess it then. Like, what are you talking about changing managers? And anyway, that's a different whole scenario. Just stick with what you got and see what happens, you know. Disqualifying anyway is, it's the group of death, really, like. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to start to cry. But yeah, for Zach, he knows he can do the job, and there's players in there that are on his level, so why isn't he in there? Definitely could be. He's in the shop window in the Swedish top division. He's already broken off the shackles of playing outside of just Ireland and the UK. A lot of Irish players just go to, I mean, it's changing now, but they used to just go to the UK, Scotland, England, and that was it. That was the step. But it's more and more going further afield. He's done it now, so, you know, he doesn't necessarily have to go back to England to be a top player. Like, he is a top player. So he could stay at AIK. They could do better. He could go somewhere else, go to one of the other top teams in Sweden, go to some other top league in Europe. Like, really, the world is his oyster. You know, he's got that senior football, hopefully for Ireland soon as well. It'd be a smart move for a team to come in and get him, because he's going to turn into a senior football player for Ireland. And even as an investment, you know, that's going to increase his price tag. So if somebody came in, played him week in, week out, they could sell him on to somebody bigger for a huge fee, you know. So he's definitely an attractive asset on and off the pitch to people. So yeah, it's interesting, exciting times ahead for him and for everyone watching, and whatever happens, we'll be watching.